I have two short readings today. The first one is Angels Among Us. Some people step into our lives without ever realizing the weight of what they carry. They offer presence instead of solutions, care instead of control, attention where there might have been indifference. Their virtues move quietly, courage without spectacle, kindness without conditions, wisdom that knows when not to speak. Because of them, harm is softened, fear finds a boundary, and a life bends toward wholeness instead of breaking. We may never repay such gifts, but we live inside their echo, more trusting, more awake to goodness, knowing that compassion once chose us and stayed. The second reading I have is from C.E. Coombs. As the sun comes up each morning and the moon appears each night, I thank my lucky stars for this wonderful thing called life. It may not always be a bed of roses, but I feel blessed in every way for the nights that kept me safe and the gift of each new day. I'm thankful for every person who has shared each path I've taken, both the ones who took an early exit and the ones that stayed for the duration. And though we are solo travelers from the beginning to the end, I give thanks for the gift of company from family to each dear friend. And as I continue with my journey, not knowing what the future may hold, I give thanks for the years now behind me and the privilege of growing old. Thank you. Have a great week.
I think most of us have heard that song over the years, whether it was from the Broadway original of Wicked to the movie that's been out the last year or so, or the two parts of the movie that's been out the last year. And that song for me is something that I like to hear every once in a while because it does remind me of those people that I've met, the people that I know that have changed my life, that have done things or been there or said things or supported things that allowed me to look at life or to make different choices or to be pushed into different choices. And those things that sometimes we fear the worst are managed better when we feel supported or when we feel seen or when we just feel that our presence also makes a difference. So many of us throughout our life have had times where it feels like we haven't been seen or we haven't been heard or we haven't been a part of a group, whatever the case is. And when there's one thing or one person or one embrace, one hug, somebody's thinking about you, it can change the way that we function. It can change our path. It can change the journey in a lot of ways. Now, those are the good things, right? When we have good people who are there to support, or good people who are there to embrace, or good people to say, hey, have you thought about this? Or have you looked at that? What happens when we meet somebody or are in a situation that it's not so easy, that people do come into our life, we are affected, but it's not always an easy relationship or friendship or knowledge of somebody. I don't know about you guys, but I know for me that there's been many times in my life that I've been pushed into a direction I didn't want to go. I didn't think I wanted to go. Let's put it that way. I didn't want to go in a different direction. But because of the people that were in my life at that time, or certain people around me at that time, I got pushed into a different direction. kicking and screaming all the way. But at the end of that push and looking back, I've had to say that thank goodness for those people in my life that were not so easy. Thank goodness for those people that came into my life and pushed me in different directions, because I'm one of those kind of people that unless you push me into a direction, I'm not going to go. I'm very content just to stay in my little world. I'm very content to go along the path that I thought I was building in front of me. And then when you get a U-turn or a stop sign or a deviated way of doing something from a person or a group that comes unexpectedly, then we go through it, and going through it at the time may feel hellish. It may feel, am I ever going to see the light of day again? Am I ever going to feel me again? Am I ever going to feel normal again, whatever normal is? Because things have been pushed so upside down. And sometimes that comes from somebody entering your life. Sometimes it comes from somebody exiting your life, whether through death or whether through choice. Sometimes it comes at a time where you don't think you can take anything more, do anything more, hold up anything more. And you have to make a decision of, do I let this take me down? Or do I ride the wave and see where the wave puts me? But that's really hard to do when you're in the midst of emotion, when you're in the midst of anger and you're in the midst of hurt. It's very difficult to just say, well, let me let this wave take me and see where it ends. There comes almost an instinctive trust sometimes to ride that wave, to see where it takes you, to understand that not everybody who comes in our life is going to be there forever. But everybody that we are in contact with can change us, can push us, can make us angry enough to do something about the situation we're in, or to be brave enough to do something about the situation we're in. And like I said, I'll go kicking and screaming before I really want to make a change. But the big changes in my life have always come from somebody either walking away or pushing me away. And at that time, it was devastating. At that time, I was hurt. I was angry. I was fearful. At that time, all of these emotions showed themselves. But as I look back on those big changes, I have to say thank you to those people that made me so frustrated and angry and upset at the time. Because in their own way, I got pushed in a direction I would not have necessarily taken. I found my strength. I found my being. I found my humor. I found my leadership. I found these things that maybe I felt from time to time, but never had the confidence in myself to put forward. So people come into our lives and they are handprints on our heart, but they're not always easy handprints. And when we look at the wholeness of those people that have brought life to us, challenge to us, changes to us, we can look at it perhaps at some point in a way that it's not, oh my gosh, I went through that and how terrible. But oh my gosh, I went through that and here I am. Here I am. We cannot underestimate what and how we are for other people, but we can't underestimate how we show up for ourselves either. So each person has put a handprint on our heart. Yes, good, bad, and different. But we also have to remember our own power and our own handprint on our heart. In that when we find ourselves in difficult situations or situations we don't know how the outcome is going to be, that we can pull in those things that we've maybe hidden away, not thought about, been too afraid to bring out, and we can fully walk into ourselves and fully be that person, not only for us, but for the next person in line. Let's not forget all of our difficulties in our lives, because we've all had them. We've all had them. But let's not let those difficult people or those difficult times define who we are. Because who we are is a reflection of how we've come through those hard times. I know a lot of times we want to give up. There's been 2 times in my life that I thought, you know what? Maybe the world would be better without me here. But really, when I look at those times, it was more about me not feeling I could be strong enough to survive. And when we move into that place of, hey, I'm still here. I'm still here. We're still here for a reason. We're still here for allowing those handprints on our heart to not again define who we are, but to allow us to express who we are in the best way. So as we go through difficult times, whether it's personally, whether it's in family, whether it's in community, whether it's in country, whether it's in world, let's stop to try to remember that we are who we are. No excuses. No, oh, but maybe. No keeping us small in who we are. Don't stay small in who we are. Be who you are. And understand we've got here through the good and the bad, the connection and the disconnection, the handprints that helped us and the handprints that pushed us. But we're here. And how exciting is that? How wonderful is that? How great is that we can sit here on a Sunday morning and be part of a community that we know not all of us may be feeling so good, but we're here to support each other in that way. So remembering that for good, that song, yeah, it's a great song, but it's not just a song. It can be a theme. It can be a theme for you in your life. Or it can just be a reminder that we're all here for good. So thank you for allowing me to express my feelings today, triggering off that song, and perhaps remember that your handprint on somebody's heart is important. So thank you, everybody.